just when it seems like everything was just going to be going just right, then maybe not so much. And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I'm going up on my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie? Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is season 12, episode 18. Like I said, everything seemed as if it was going to go okay. Everything seemed like it was going to be all right, and then it just went kind of left. But this seemed like a good trip for the most part. Now, when we first started out, Candy actually was sharing that she planned on keeping in touch with her surrogate after the baby's birth. I thought that was a little strange. It was a little different. Because I don't think that in those cases, generally, people actually do that. I'd be like afraid of, that's where you get the creepy feelings about the attachment to the baby, and is the person going to try to kidnap your child, and all that kind of stuff. Seems like that's where all that type of anxiety would actually come into play. But I know I'm not the only one that felt like that, because everybody else was like, what, are you sure? Candy even started talking about that, that she thought about hiring the girl to actually do some management for some of their restaurants and stuff. I was like, I don't know about all that, Candy, but okay, girl, I guess you know what you're doing. Just seemed a little strange. Just seemed a little strange. A little confused. It was being confusing. Family dynamic, that was kind of confusing. Anyway, but Candy knows what's going to be best for Candy and Candy's family. So all we can do is just watch and see what happens. Anyway, moving on. So they end up going to this lunch in the air, where they sit in the seats, and then it looks like a amusement park ride. And then they take them up 100 feet into the air. Listen, let me tell you, I'm not doing it. Flat out. I don't care what you say. I don't care. I just don't care. I just ain't doing it. I'm not going 100 feet in the air doing anything other than riding a roller coaster. I'm not doing it. And then this roller coaster is constant movement, just hanging in the air. I ain't got that to do. I ain't got that to do. And I'm sure it's sturdy and it's all nice and all that, but I won't be the one person the day that the malfunction happens. I won't be on it that day when the malfunction happens. I ain't got it to do. But they did the little thing. Nene is totally afraid of heights. So she was having a moment, but she did it. She's a team player. She did it. And while they were there, misery loves company. And this is what I'm not learning this about Kenya. We know this about Kenya. Kenya is just Kenya. And Kenya is miserable. She's in a miserable state right now. Her marriage just done fell apart. She's just not happy with Kenya. So we know that there's got to be somebody that she's going to pick on. Generally, it's the closest person to her, Cynthia. She started attacking Cynthia, pointing out basically that Cynthia is kind of clueless about the wine business. And at first it was like a chuckle, chuckle, chuckle kind of thing. Then it just got to a point where it was just obnoxious. It was obnoxious. She was firing questions at her. And I'm like, this is crazy. It felt like she was on an episode of Shark Tank. And Kenya just was not letting up. And then there came a point when Candy basically shut it down. Candy just shut it down and asked her, girl, how many bottles of the good wine do you have at your establishment? And she had to kind of like embarrass Kenya to back Kenya up off of Cynthia. It wasn't cool. It wasn't cool at all. And Portia was really on it. Like, she was on it. You could tell she caught it, and then it got up underneath her skin. I was like, Oh boy, what's going to happen here? Anyway, they move on. Now, right after that, we see Kenya doing her confessionals. This one, you know that you've been a bitch and you were wrong, period. The producers were asking her questions about it, the whole Cynthia situation, and then the thing with the wig and how all of that went on because what she was doing could actually hurt Cynthia's brand. Because now we're showing Cynthia on television, and you're showing that basically Cynthia Bailey is just the face put on the business, and she don't know a goddamn thing about the business. Just like you in that wig situation, when you wanted to pump out there to the public that you don't wear wigs, but in actuality, you are a wig wearing heifer, okay? So, same thing. Baby, she got evil with the producers and was giving them very much of, listen. And then she got all tongue tied, and she's like, it's not the same thing, this, that, thing, and the other. And then she threatened to walk out. Just admit it, Kenya, you were being a bitch. Period. Period. And it was unprovoked. And you're supposed to be Cynthia's friend. There was no reason to do it. And Cynthia took it like a trooper and just kind of let it brush off her shoulders because that's what Cynthia did. She gave airhead tease and kept going on. It bothered the people around her more than it bothered her. But that's Cynthia. You know, Cynthia loves hard. She does. She'll make up all kind of excuses in her mind and out loud to save her friends. That's just her. She's a friend to a fault. Anyway, they went shopping, and there were these bracelets that Portia and Tanya bought they were these evil eye bracelets, and they're supposed to ward off bad spirits and negativity. So what they had done is they actually had bought one for Cynthia. After they came back to the hotel, after the villa, they rolled up on Cynthia, and Tanya and Portia told her about how they didn't really like what happened with her and Kenya and the way Kenya was treating her and everything like that. And they had actually bought her the bracelet and all that. So she was, like I said, she is a Chucky doll. I'm your friend till the end. Heidi ho, ha ha ha. She took in what they had to say. She received it, thanked them for the bracelet. Then they conned her out of her real pretty bracelet she had. They said, oh, girl, let us have one of them bracelets you got. They literally conned her out of her bracelets. But anyway, she took it and she went on. So this is how Cynthia does things. I said, now that they've pointed it out, we know that Cynthia is going to come back and she's going to say something about this whole situation. But beforehand, if they had never said anything, Cynthia wouldn't have said a damn thing. Because that's Cynthia. Like I said, she's a friend to a fault. That's just her. So the next day, they end up going to a vineyard. And on the way there, they actually talked about, that conversation was crazy. I was surprised that conversation didn't end in an argument, but they were really discussing what it is that you want in a man. And the focus was really on Marlo. And Tanya was talking, and I was like, Tanya. I just think that, Tanya makes a target of herself when they start talking about men and all of this thing. Most of the girls don't really respect Tanya's relationship that she has where she's not actually married. They petty like that. And is it just me? Y'all tell me in the comments, is it me, or whenever it comes to these types of conversations that have to do with marriage and couples, do you cringe when Tanya talks? Not that she doesn't know what she's talking about, but just at what she's saying will be received by these girls because they're shady. They definitely see Tanya as beneath them. That's just the way I feel. But y'all let me know. Let me know what y'all think. So they do that. They get through it. And of course, Marlo, I'm laughing at her because everything was about what you can do for me. Period. They kept saying, well, girl, take all that away. She'll not take all that away. She'll not take all that away. It is what it is. Sugar daddy. That's her. Okay? So they were talking about, when they got to the vineyard, they had a little thing where they were speaking about a good idea for marketing would be, Marlo said, put my picture on some wine down in the wine cellar, girl. Cynthia, that'll be good for business. And then somebody came up with, girl, you know what? You should do pictures of like all of us on the wine. They were like, oh yeah. So Kenya was over there, and did y'all catch it? Just as she just her whole aura was just like nasty, and she going like she said to Cynthia, only Cynthia could hear, girl, that ain't really my thing, but I mean, if you want me to do it, and it's for you, then I'll do it. I'm like, hater, just a hater. And after all that, you know, the way she just miserable. She's miserable, and she's one of them people. When you are not feeling your best, Kenya, you should just stay by yourself. You should just stay home. Like, seriously. Anyway, then they end up going. They had a little area where they could shop. There was different things there. Kenya turns around and she buys wine for Cynthia's wine cellar. So it's kind of like she knew she'd been a bitch to Cynthia, and then you're going to try to do something nice to make up for it. And I have to laugh at something that Nene said later on. I have to laugh. Yeah, I want y'all to remember this part that I'm telling you about, and then I'm going to refer back to this when we get closer to the end. Just remember that. Nasty at the restaurant in the air drug her about her knowledge of the wine. Nasty and out of sorts while they're there at the vineyard, and then you turn around like, okay, well, I'd have been a bitch long enough. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna do something extra nice. I'm gonna buy one, at least buy one of every bottle of wine to send to the Bailey wine cellar. Just hold on to that. Moving on. Okay, so when the girls went to go shop, Portia pulls Nene aside. I'm not going to go through the whole long drawn out. The short and the long of it is they actually got out the real issues. The two of them sat by themselves, talked about the real issues that they had in the past, how things went outside of the circle, went on the social media, got very, very ugly. They apologized to each other, squashed the beef, and they decided to move on to the point, I mean, they just immediately clicked back to call each other little sister, big sister, and all of that good stuff. So that was a good thing. Kenya, I still say she just, even after that, she was still like, had this whole Debbie Downer thing going on. Tanya and Portia come up with this idea of doing a ruins party, okay? Kenya felt some type of way about it, and the girls, they were like, because they all petty, they were like, look, Kenya ain't really feeling them trying to take over as the hosts. If nothing was planned, what is the issue? Just shut up. Just ridiculous. I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so let's talk about this ruins party. Everything started off really good. They all put on their cute little outfits. They all had like nice little, like a little cocktail dresses and different things. And they come out and they're outside and they're having their little party. And they said, well, this is what we want to do. It's a ruins party. So we want to, anything that anybody's like having on them, any type of fussing or anything, just something y'all need to say to each other. We're going to take these crowns, you put the crown on, and put a crown, give a crown to the person you got the problem with. We're going to talk about it. Take whatever that issue is, throw it in the ruins, and leave it here and never bring it up again. We all know this shit doesn't work, but it's always cute for the storyline, but it don't work. Child, I don't know, but everything was going pretty good at first. And then Cynthia takes the time, and she goes and she says what she has to say to Kenya. Kenya sucks it up. Kenya says, you know, I never try to make you be a joke. You know, this, that, thing, and the other. And, you know, you're always my friend. You're my sister, blah, 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 blah. Goes over there, hugs her. Baby, when I tell you Nene was on one, Nene says, really? Really? Now, had that been me, there's no way you'd have swept that under the rug like that. No way. You would have held me to a higher account. You would have been just, you wouldn't have just let it go. You just wouldn't have did that with me. So then Kenya chimes in and says, well, things change, this, that, and the other. Friendship is a different friendship. She says, but she wouldn't have let me slide. She says, well, whatever, things change. Honey, Nene turned around and told Kenya, girl, just shut up, because you're a bully, bitch. You're a bully, and you're bipolar, and that's why your husband left, bitch. I said, Baby, everybody was sitting around. And they were like, ooh, and ooh, I said, because it just raw. I was like, damn, Nene. I mean, like, she didn't hold nothing. She was so animated, like she had been waiting. Well, and you know she had from the very first little part where she said she was, she shied at me. She been waiting. You're a bully, bitch. She said it's so nasty, and that's why your husband left, bitch. And you're bipolar, bitch. Now, you know what? It was petty of Nene. The timing was bad because it just ruined this whole little thing. Um, but truly, when I told you I was going to go back to something, that behavior that Kenya demonstrated, that was bipolar as hell. It was. Tell me if you agree. The whole nasty, 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 and then do something overly nice, that is bipolar as hell. And when she said that, I was like, oh, that shit stung. It stung. And just the stuff about the husband, period, stung. So they got to calm down. And then they went back to the little ruins party. And then it was Tanya and Kenya. Kenya apologized to Tanya basically for not dragging her when she found out what had actually happened. And then Kenya says, but you never apologized to me about the wig situation. I said, I don't think this is how that works. Like, you addressed her, so that was you. Get your issue out. You can't force her to give you an apology, but whatever. Now, Tanya long-winded. I said, Tanya, we already know this shit has started going left. So, Tanya, please, just either accept it or don't. We know you're going to accept the apology, but we don't need no dissertation. But that's Tanya. Tanya's giving this dissertation about why she didn't apologize because she wasn't sorry at the time and this, that, and the other. Okay, well, let's say you ain't going to apologize. She going to keep on with this dissertation to the point where it was just working with Nene, and Nene was over there and shit was building up and you could tell. And the next thing you know, Nene just started back in on Kenya and just started going in on Kenya again. I was like, oh. It was bad. It really was bad. Going in on Kenya, calling her bipolar, calling her bitches, and all this stuff, and all this about her husband left, and her husband's nose ring. And when I say went in, she went in on Kenya. And then she jumped, and she's like, girl, shut up before I throw this shit at you. It like she was real. I said, oh, Nene, you are giving us Project Bunny. It was really, I mean, it got to a point. It really it went to a level of like bullying, and I was like, wow. And we ended there, and it went to be continued. Now I'm all for a good reading. I'm all for a good dragging. I don't like when it becomes like bullying, and that's how I kind of felt toward the end of this, where it felt as though she was bullying Kenya because Kenya wasn't, and Kenya not my favorite. Y'all know I don't even do Kenya. But Kenya wasn't fighting back. I'll never understand what you get from going back and forth or going at a person that's not fighting back. Just don't sit right with me. It just don't sit. You can only battle with who's battling with you. When you fighting and a person don't fight back and you keep going in on them, that just ain't no good look. And that's what it started to take on for me. But let's see what ends up happening next week. We'll see what happens next week. All right, y'all. I'm out. Later.